Hey, what's up guys, it's Bridget. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all having an awesome day, and today I look like a colorful, crazy person. So today we are doing a review, and is it worth it, of the Vida Loca palette by Kat Von D. If there was a palette in the beauty community that was deemed like legendary, like oh my gosh, when people see that you have it, they're like, you had that? It's a very strange dynamic about this eyeshadow palette because it was a limited edition and now it sells for $200 or more all the time online. So today we're going to talk about, is that palette still worth it, and what I think of it. Without any further ado, let's jump into the video. Alright guys, before we get started, I'll make my this channel is cruelty-free, and so is Kat Von D. And this is not about the person behind the brand. This palette came out long before most of the controversies, and we're focusing on the palette today and the hubbub around the palette, mostly. So what is it about this palette that makes it different than any other eyeshadow palette on the market? This came out in late 2016 or 2015. I will leave the actual date of it on the screen. And this palette is very sought after in the beauty space. A lot of professional makeup artists say they use this all the time still. And it's just a very popular palette. The artwork on the front of the palette, I want to go ahead and say, is some of the most beautiful artwork I've ever seen on makeup. Like, let's take a look at this box. Like, I like the script. It's a little scratchy looking, but I like the tattoo style of it. And then if you turn to the back, you have the colors on the palette in like a record shape. Very pretty box. And then I even have like the original slip thing that came in here with like the details and like demonstration of the 3 different looks. So I bought this off of a makeup artist who apparently never had a client ask for really colorful looks. They never ended up using it. So I'm the first person to use this one, and this is what the actual palette looks like. You just slide it right on out of the box right here. So it doesn't have a cover on it, but you do keep the box with it. This is the eyeshadow palette itself. I may have got it a little dirty from doing this look with it today, but here is how it looks. It's a very beautiful palette. We can't deny the fact that this is like really aesthetically pleasing. Like, looking at it, you're like, oh, so many color combinations, so much you can do with it. It fits the whole rainbow, and then everything else, like the basics, fit in the circle. And I think it's a really well laid out palette, and I quite like how it looks. Like, I really want a cover on the palette, but it looks really nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I did this look and how it performs, and then I'll talk about my final thoughts on this palette, and is it really worth all the hype and all the money people spend on it. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with the Vida Loca look for today's video. Hopefully this works. I have not tried this palette yet, actually. So, first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and put some concealer down for my lid and set it, and we're going to set it with the shade Lyric, which is this light cream matte. I must say, I'm not a fan of not having a cover over the palette, like it slips out of the box and it's on its own. However, just holding it and looking at the colors to start using is very light, very convenient feeling. Like, it kind of feels like I'm working with a palette of paint, which is kind of refreshing, but I also don't like the fact that it doesn't have a cover on its own. Something that's really dumb and bothering me right off the bat about having this palette and using it is dipping into the shade to set my lid. I was like, ooh, I don't want to dip straight in and leave brush marks in it or go too heavy with it because it'll ruin the pristine palette since it is new. And that's really stupid. It's just eyeshadow, but since so many people are paying like $250 for this palette, I'm like, I don't want to ruin it going really delicate. And that's not something that should be associated with eyeshadow. So I don't like that so far. I want to dip into the shade Fran, which is this bright yellow. And I'm going to do the inner crease. I'm going to use the same blending brush all the way through the crease area, just so they blend together really well. Whatever excess is on the brush helps blend the next color. Because I think we're going to do like 3 colors over the crease. Right off the bat, this yellow is really pigmented. Like, I barely touched the pan. It's really good. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but in person it's a beautiful gold. Compared to a lot of yellows that I own, and I'm like a yellow eyeshadow connoisseur, this is bomb. People still say bomb, or is it just me? Next, I'm going to go into the shade Analog, which is the orange. We're going to kind of go follow the wheel a little bit, and I'm going to do the middle section of the crease and blend it into the yellow. I'm so surprised. Like, I kind of thought this palette was going to be overrated, and I'm still not thoroughly convinced it's worth like all the hype and the money and stuff. But these are really pigmented, and it's been like 2-3 years since this palette came out. Like, they're aging quite well in my opinion for being this old of an eyeshadow. They're still really pigmented. I'm not sure about the dark colors. I'm not sure about the blues and the purples, which are the ones that deteriorate faster. But like, that's really good orange for like barely tapping the pan. So next I want to dip into the color Swoon, which I love. It's just a really pink color. You know, I own a lot of warm eyeshadow palettes. I own a lot of colorful eyeshadow palettes. But having a really good matte pink that's not either too mauvey or too bubblegummy light pink that it doesn't show up is kind of difficult. So I definitely want to try out this color because I do find it quite unique. There is a little bit of kickback in the pan with this, but it does pick up a lot on the brush as well. We're going to tuck this in the next section of the crease, just avoiding the very tippity top of the outer corner. Next, I want to dip into this burnt burgundy color of Rewind and darken up the very tippy outer corner. This might be a shimmer, I can't really tell. Oh yeah, that's a shimmer. Oh well. This could possibly mess up the whole look. So for the lid, I'm just matching the shimmer that goes with that color, and I'm going to match a little bit of matte and just mix the two shades together. So I'm just mixing the matte that matches the shimmer next to it. I am finding the pinks a little bit harder to blend. Like, when I blend them, they blend well into the orange. But then the more I blend them and I add a little more to it, they kind of disappear. Like, not my favorite thing in the world. Like, the pinks don't really want to blend that well. They'll blend with the orange, but not by themselves. It's very strange. Other than that, though, I think this is pretty cute. My first complaint, other than the pinks not blending, is the pink left a lot of fallout underneath my eye and all in the palette. So the pink is a little bit of an issue, but all the rest of the colors were so nice, and I'm very impressed by the yellow. I'm debating between a blue and a green lower lash line, so I think I'm going to do both. For the first half of the lower lash line, I'm going to dip into the shade Vinyl. It's a lime green. And then for the outer corner, we'll go into Synth, which is just really pretty blue. I'm not sure if I like that or not, but I dragged the blue into the top lash line. Like, I feel like it was pretty easy to blend the blue out farther. So that's what I did. I wouldn't normally do that. I don't know why I did, but I think it doesn't look too terrible. So what I'm going to do now is go put mascara and lashes on, and I will be right back. Alright guys, this is the finished look with the lipstick and lashes on. What do we think? I got lipstick on my teeth. I wasn't entirely sure what lipstick would go with this, so I mixed a pink and a red together. Hopefully it looks good. I think with like the hair and all the colors in the eyes and the bright lip, it's too much. Like, it's a little bit overwhelming to look at, but I don't know. I feel like the eye look itself, though, doesn't look bad. Like, I looked the color combinations we did. I do find that the blue on the lower lash line is super bold, super vibrant, and I really like it. The green isn't my favorite green in the world. It's already starting to fade. But, like, the oranges and the pinks and the yellows up here are so good. And honestly, this is one of my favorite yellows I've ever used. And that's hard for me to say because I've tried a lot of yellow eyeshadow. So the Kat Von D Mi Vida Loca palette, what are my thoughts on it? And is it worth the $200 price people are selling it for? And I've seen it even go for like $230 or $240 before. Usually about right at $200. I don't want to say that it's worth it, because no palette's worth $200. But I do find that if you're really into this and you are passionate about the color scheme and the layout of this palette, the quality is there even after all this time. The quality of the shadows are really good. Again, the pink had some fallout with it, but like the yellows and the oranges and the blues and the greens, they blend together really nicely, and I find them great qualities. Now, I would never pay $200 for this palette. I would pay more than most palettes just because you do get the entire rainbow. It's a very sought after palette. It's limited edition. You're never going to get this again. But I wouldn't pay a straight up $200 for it. I think I would pay, I don't know how much I'd pay for it. I'm not really that passionate about this palette. Like, me having this palette doesn't feel like, ooh, I finally got it. It more feels like a hassle to own, because I'm scared to use it a little bit, and that's so stupid considering how much makeup I have, and I go through so much makeup and we waste so much makeup. But I don't know, I don't feel right. Like, I don't think I would appreciate it enough keeping it forever. I don't think I would appreciate what it is and what everyone thinks of it when they see it. But there are a lot of other palettes on the market now that you can get this look out of. I do think that when this came out, it was definitely worth picking up, especially for the original price. I definitely would recommend, if like 2018 you see something that's this innovative, go ahead and pick it up. The reason I think this is so sought after is because this was before all of the rainbow palettes started coming out. Now that Instagram makeup is really making a thing for itself, I think a lot more people are coming out with bright, colorful, fun palettes, and I'm very happy about that. But when this palette originally came out, I think that's what it was. There wasn't as many rainbow palettes out there, especially something that fit the entire color spectrum of colors here. Of course, it doesn't have every shade in it, but I do think when it came out, no one else had palettes like it on the market. I personally love the layout of it, but now there's like BH Cosmetics palettes and stuff that have like the zodiac theme, and they have like this kind of layout, just not as many shades and not as bold. I think that if someone came out with a dupe for this palette and it was the same quality, you wouldn't need like the fancy packaging, you wouldn't need anything else. The quality is really good, but I think it's because it was like before its time that it's so sought after, not because it's the most amazing palette of all time. I think a lot of indie brands on Instagram that come out with colorful palettes now put just as much quality, if not more quality, into it. You just might not get the entire color spectrum in one palette. There are a couple, like September Rose has this slush palette that I've seen, and Violet Voss has a good colorful palette too. So there are other dupes for this palette out there. I don't think I would spend $200 on it. But if you are passionate about it and you really have been wanting this palette for years now and you see it for a good price, I would definitely pick it up because it's still a good purchase. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this made sense, and I hope I answered any questions you had about the Kat Von D Mi Vida Loca palette. It's intimidating to own it because it's so sought after, but if you really wanted it for a really long time, it still works and it's still a good purchase as long as you don't spend like completely $200 on it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more from me, I put a video every single freaking day, and I'd love if you hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.